Ukrainian suit about for this live stream, and together I'm going to discuss about the situation of the Prigozhin and Russia after the coup d'etat. And the problem is the first thing I found that many people had the myth about Prigozhin. Let's say that the Prigozhin has the political ambition. They want to and he wants to overdo Putin and build a Prigozhin's regime. So this is kind of odd. Because Prigozhin is not like this person. Prigozhin is actually very loyal to Putin. He's Putin's the one of the most loyal servant to Putin. I have to introduce about Prigozhin's background. First, when Prigozhin was little, he was a crook. He was a crook. He was a gangster. He graduated in a professional high school, which majored in chemical engineering. But after graduation, he joined the gangster and he stole something and got into the jail for 10 years. He was sentenced to 10 years jail during the Soviet period. After the Soviet Union collapsed, the Prigozhin was released. Then he began to private McDonald's. He opened his own fast food restaurant in St. Petersburg, and and it got huge successful. And then he opened a high-class restaurant in St. Petersburg, where he met Putin. And after he met Putin, the Prigozhin become loyal to Putin and become the Putin's servant. At first, Prigozhin opened a restaurant and assist Putin, and then so his nickname was the Putin's chef. Maybe you will hear this name. And after Putin will kill his own people, Putin launched a false flag operation, which killed already 300 people in Russia, in major Russian city, and launched the second Chechenian war and become president. And then the Prigozhin become the chef of the Moscow's elementary school and St. Petersburg's elementary school, and he became one of the best oligarchs and became super wealthy. But after 2014, Prigozhin has a new mission. That has two missions. One mission is to interfere the great election of America. The U.S. election was severely interfered by Russia in 2016. That is why the Trump win the election. And Prigozhin is one of the people who engaged in the election interference. So he let Trump get elected. Also, the second thing is that the Prigozhin has created a Wagner Group troop. The Wagner Group is not like today's Wagner Group. At that time, Wagner Group had only about 500 people. That is very few. The members are very few. Wagner Group, what is Wagner Group doing? During 2014 to 2021, the Wagner Group will mainly do two things. The first thing is to do the war crimes in Syria. Wagner Group focus on doing war crimes which Russian army dare not to do, and because Putin wants gain some effect in Syria. He wants to take over Syria's gas line in control of as well. He don't want America have the Syria's interest. So he assigned the Wagner troop and the Russian army to go to Syria for the military interference and support the Assad regiment. Okay, then the Prigozhin was a Wagner group which worked in the Syria's in the Syria's in Syria, and he actually committed many war crimes, and they led the troop there. The second thing is that the Wagner group controlled the gold mine in Central African Republic. Because that Russia wants to have the impact with China, have the impact on the Africa. So Putin also assigned Prigozhin go to Africa and enlarge Russia's impact on the developing country. This is the two things that Prigozhin measure do. One Prigozhin did is something should be hidden from the world, so that the Prigozhin is not what we didn't do. It's a very private thing. It's a very a very crude, a very syndicate thing, and that thing shouldn't be known from the world. So who can execute this kind of mission? Only the most loyal people, the most loyal servant can do this kind of people. And Putin assigned Prigozhin to do this kind of thing. So that means the Prigozhin has shown his absolute loyalty to Putin. And actually, if you can see, there are many oligarchs that be loyal to Putin, but only Prigozhin, he do the darkest thing, he do the hardest thing, he do the worst thing in Putin's order. What a Prigozhin can do, he can just choose only be the oligarch of restaurant oligarch. He can still be the Putin's chef, and have a very, very luxurious life in St. Petersburg. What Prigozhin had earned, it was he to live a free life. He doesn't rely on any money. He had fame, he had money, but he chose to do these dirty things and to ruin his reputation. Why did he do this? This shows that Prigozhin is actually really loyal to Putin before 2022. After 2022, what happened? The Russia invaded Ukraine, and they sucked. They hit the stone. They add their food. They hit the counter-strike, counter-attack from the Ukrainian nationals. So that the Putin has seen that the Soviet troops, the Russian troops, sucks. So he need back off. He need a group, military group, to engage in battle or in the Ukraine. So he also appointed Prigozhin again. He told Prigozhin, please come back to Russia and fight for our motherland. And Prigozhin said yes, so he come back. And at that time, Prigozhin, the Wagner group had only 1,500 people, or 1,500. But after that, and September, the Wagner troop had 80,000 people. It had burdened for more than 15 times. This is extremely difficult. And that Prigozhin actually upgrades the much enlarged Wagner troop very well. So this shows that Prigozhin indeed has some ability on managing the mercenary troop. So that's the problem. Is that Prigozhin has gathered and is permitted to do that two things. One thing is that he is permitted to recruit the criminals to join the mercenary group and pardon them after the service. The second thing is he is permitted to slam the Russian army and Ministry of Defense and ban them back up in the Ukraine. There are two major things that the Prigozhin are permitted to do, and all these kind of things are illegal. For the first time, operating a mercenary troop is actually illegal to in Russia. According to Russia's criminal code, is 353. The mercenary operating a mercenary group is illegal and can be sentenced to 10 to 15 years, same as the Navalny, this jail. Okay, and the second thing is that when you insult the Russian national military, the Russian army, you can face the life sentence. And Prigozhin, actually, he's insulted many times Russian army many times, but no one punished them. So everyone said, oh, yeah, the Prigozhin must have the Putin's permission, so he can do these two kind of things without any punishment. And that is the on the other hand, if you see in a different aspect, you'll find that the Prigozhin actually is Putin who allowed Prigozhin to operate a mercenary troop and to blame the military of defense and insult them. And the problem is that if Prigozhin did something wrong, if Putin doesn't like Prigozhin, he can arrest Prigozhin immediately and send him to the jail and remove him from the power. He can do that every time. So the real situation of the Prigozhin regime, the real situation of Prigozhin power is not like he is simply oligarch. Actually, you can see he is the Putin's private army. The Wagner troop is Putin's private army until now, even until now. And there is something that different between Wagner troop group and the other normal mercenary troop, just like Deepwater. The Wagner group has the most military heavy military equipment in the world. It has many like T-90 tanks, like the aircrafts, Su-35 aircraft, like many missiles, like artillery system. There are many kind of the heavy military weapons. You can't distinguish it between normal military army. It is just like a normal army, but it is called a mercenary. So the Wagner troop today is another great army inside Russia. It's an illegal national army of Russia. So it is very severe. The people like the Chinese experts who focus on researching Russian politics also say that the Wagner troop is Putin's private army, and if Putin wants, he can terminate it anytime. But why he allowed the Prigozhin go through court that? So that means that the Putin has totally trust Prigozhin and has given him a lot of the power to execute what he wants to do. So that Prigozhin are able to launch a talk attack. And what is the end? Why is the end of the cold attack is and very soon is that they get into the suburb of Moscow and they hold it. That is because that Moscow is not a major city. Moscow is a city with about 20 million population. It's really big, and it is said that Russian troops had only 20,000 men. So how can 20,000 men occupied a city with more than 20 million? It is impossible, right? It is impossible. So that Wagner troops are unable to seize the Moscow, and unable to, even they can storm into the Kremlin. But those people had fled. People who had their lives, right? So the military defense, like the Shoigu, like Gerasimov, they can run. They can just run, and Wagner troops had no way to find them. And then what will wait for them? The ending for them is just be annihilated by the military troop from all directions over Russia, maybe from Siberia, maybe from Chechnya, maybe from the eastern Ukraine. So that there's no way for Wagner troops to win the Battle of Moscow, or even they win the Battle of the Delta, they can't handle it. They have no choice but to be annihilated. So that the Prigozhin stopped as he abandoned the Kolata. It's actually a really clever operation because they can't occupy Moscow. They have too few person to do that. But when they are marched into the suburb of Moscow, they show they have the ability to acquire Moscow. And like the war, nearly everybody believes they will storm Moscow. Right? So this that the Prigozhin require the best condition for the political bargaining. So the end of the Kolata is actually very clever in the military strategy. If you take the military the cold service theory, war is a means of political. You will really admire Prigozhin's decision. Actually, his decision is pretty well, and for this. So what will be the outcome of Prigozhin? Will he be assassinated? No. If Putin doesn't like him, he can kill Prigozhin at any time. Not today. Not yesterday. He can kill Prigozhin maybe last month, maybe 2 months ago, anytime when Putin doubted Prigozhin's loyalty, he can remove them every time. So why doesn't Putin remove Prigozhin? Well, it's just exile him to the Belarus, but actually, when Prigozhin goes to the Belarus, he can still handle the Wagner troops. He can still command the Wagner troops to launch attack in the Ukraine. So he is not the idol. He actually has more power over ability because everyone knows Wagner troop is about us. Everyone knows that Wagner troop has the ability to storm the Moscow. Everyone respects Wagner troop. So let the Wagner group will have the more power and will cede more power. This is what Prigozhin wants, and Wagner troop will not be able to be united with the Russian army. Will not be swallowed by the Russian army. How to say? I don't know. You will not be annihilated by the Russian military of defense. So actually, Prigozhin has acquired his political feature actually. But although that Prigozhin has no political ambition, and Prigozhin also has no chance to get into the Russian party, many people think that the Prigozhin will go through the Russian party. He will become a new Russian politician, but this is wrong because during the communist regime, Russia has a rule. If you want to be a politician, you need to be a social elite. Like the Putin. Putin is graduated from the St. Petersburg University. He majored in economics, and then he become a KGB agent. So he's a kind of a Russian elite, so he can become a politician. All of the Russian politicians are the hypocrites, are the social elite, are all the hypocrites. They can talk about many beautiful streets, but they're lying, they're corrupt. This is the sign, the characteristic of a typical Russian politician. So the Prigozhin, it's only opposite. Prigozhin is very kind. He is very straightforward. He speaks a lot of the dirty war and low culture war. He is not culturalized. He is not civilized. He is very mean, and he's not a hypocrite. So that Prigozhin had no way to be a part of the Russian politics. And Prigozhin had no interest on being the Russian elite. Telegram once in February, he stemmed one Russian political promotion, uh, uh, tier five politician, because that he said Prigozhin is impossible to get the presidency because that Russia understand the American U.S. presidency really well, but uh, 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 but there's no interest you to be a Russian president inside Russia. No one discussed it for more than 10 years. So he said this is Mushin's opinion is totally irrational in Russia, because Prigozhin had no way for the political means. And then also in Prigozhin's video, he always talk about the third world. He always talk about four-letter words. He always talk about low level as he can, because he wants to express that he is not an elite. He had no interest on Russian politics. So that is why the Prigozhin had no way to gain succeed the political power inside Russia. What he did bad, it maybe be the deputy of the be the minister of the Russia. But now that because Prigozhin is one of the rebel, he's marketed as the rebels, he's unlikely to be the minister of military of defense. So the minister of military defense, I think that it will be the Prigozhin's good friend, the former deputy former deputy minister of the Russian defense, he called Mikhail, I guess. I forgot the exact name, but I think he will be a new minister of defense, and the Gerasimov and Shoigu will all be cleaned, will all created from the Russian military of defense, and will be Prigozhin's good friend to be in charge, and then Prigozhin can command them to do the military reform to improve the corrupt situation in the Russian army. So that the Russian army will be much more improved after this coup. So all the people say that Prigozhin has failed, but I think this is not. But I have a totally different theory. I think Prigozhin actually succeeded in the coup. He did what he could, and he had seized the best thing he can seize. And then there's something that the Putin will do arrange. And also, the last myth is that the people all say that the Putin now is now proved as a very weak person. But actually, that the Putin has one problem. He has cancer. Because he has cancer, now he is not the Putin we saw before 2017. Before 2017, Putin is the one who can in charge in many things, and he can use very beautifully, talk very beautifully to answer the journalist question, and everyone think that Putin is very sharp on his mind. But now the situation can Putin's health situation deteriorates very quickly. Now the Putin now is unable to seize to control everything in the Russian government. So the Putin is someone is a spam force. It already a spam force, and he is someone who are going to get into the coffin. So that everyone knows Putin is going to die. So everyone doesn't want to rebel Putin, because if you rebel the Putin and if you lose, you are unable to split Putin's legacy after he dies. So the best way is to just maintain the loyalty to the Putin and try to seize as much power as they can, as you can on behind the scene. So the problem is that the Prigozhin is actually did the same thing. He has seized about its own military power work too. Shoigu and Gerasimov also do the same thing. He wants to seize more power. He wants to clean the Wagner troop group and make the Wagner troop part of Russian Ministry of Defense. Everyone wants to seize more power, and under the Putin's health situation, Putin is supposed to be died in maybe 3 years, maybe 5 years. People know that he will die soon. So that people all respect that only on the base, but behind the thing they try to they have planned this very delicately to see the Putin's legacy. So the problem is that so actually no one will rebel Putin after the coup, but everyone will accelerate their speed on seizing more power because they are knowing that, oh no, now the Putin are unable to control everything. Also, they will move more boldly to try to seize power and play the game of duel. Also, this is today's my live stream. I hope you like it, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.